From visionary filmmaker Todd Phillips, the director of Road Trip, Old School, and the Hangover trilogy, comes Joker, the latest entry in a long line of popular media to be erroneously blamed for violence committed in the real world. This film serves as an origin story to Batman's arch-nemesis, the Joker, arguably the most famous comic book villain of all time. No single origin story for the Joker has ever really taken root. There have been several different contradictory versions given at various points, sometimes within the same film, and often they share similar tragic elements, but the quote-unquote true story is never as cut and dry as most of his contemporaries, especially Batman. Usually it's not really that important though. The most interesting aspect about the Joker in Batman stories is less who he is and more what he represents, especially when contrasted with Batman.
I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
Needless to say, I, like many others, was extremely trepidatious when I first learned that Warner Brothers was planning to make a Joker solo origin film that would not feature Batman, especially since I'm pretty sure this announcement came right on the heels of Jared Leto's performance in Suicide Squad. I should say right up front that this is not going to be a film for everybody. More so than any other comic book movie before it, Joker resembles a comic book in absolutely no way apart from name recognition. The fact that you're already aware of the Joker's status as a supervillain going into the movie. This isn't a superhero film at all, nor is it an action movie. There aren't even really any action scenes. Instead, this film is a tightly focused character drama, centering exclusively on the character of Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix. This movie gives you a look into the mind of a psychologically and emotionally damaged person, and it accomplishes this without ever feeling the need to have the word damaged literally tattooed across his forehead. Okay, I'll stop. Arthur becomes increasingly resentful of his circumstances throughout the film, gaining a twisted self-validation through acts of violence, and eventually he spirals out of control to become the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix is absolutely fantastic in this movie, and it's a highlight in his already impressive career. The character's body language and mannerisms, the way he laughs, the way he talks, everything about this performance is so convincing, and Phoenix completely disappears into the role. If he doesn't get a Best Actor nomination at the Oscars for it, I honestly wouldn't be too surprised actually, but he totally deserves one. I wonder how many fictional characters have ever had multiple different actors be nominated for an Oscar playing them. I can't think of one. On top of the stellar lead performance, this movie's production values are also fantastic. The cinematography is gorgeous, the music and sound design are also great. I didn't even notice any CGI. If there was any, which of course there probably was, it's been employed in subtle, imperceptible ways as part of the background. I've always enjoyed films where we're shown another side to the villains and the various reasons why and how they became the way that they are. You can feel sympathy for a bad or an evil character, understanding their mindset and motivations while still not condoning any of the reprehensible actions they take. This is even true when the villain is the main character of the story, be it a movie, a television show, a comic book, a video game, or whatever else. I can't believe I have to say this, but the fact that the Joker is this film's protagonist is not an endorsement of any of his actions or philosophies. It simply makes him the conduit through which we're shown the story. That does not mean, however, that the Joker is at any point implied to be the film's hero, nor does the film invite anyone watching to emulate him. Rather, the film is highly critical of the failing systems that allowed such a person to be created in the first place. The central themes of the movie are class and wealth disparity, and it portrays a disturbingly real scenario of how a person like this might slip through the gaping wide cracks of our various social welfare systems before anyone ever even notices them, or the fact that they've become very dangerous.
This is the last time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen, do you? All I have are negative thoughts.
Additionally, because the entire movie is presented through the perspective of someone who's becoming increasingly unhinged, there are ample opportunities to use this unreliable narrator concept to play with the audience's perceptions. I've got a sneaking suspicion this is going to be one of those movies that has people debating the meaning or implications behind certain plot points, and especially its final scene, for quite some time. If I had one small criticism of Joker, I think it's perhaps a bit too on the nose with its many homages to Martin Scorsese's two films, Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. I haven't even seen King of Comedy, but I'm familiar enough with the premise, and even just knowing that, you can clearly see the parallels being drawn between certain plot points in both it as well as Taxi Driver throughout Joker. The film doesn't go so far as to be what I'd call a ripoff, but it's undeniably derivative. At the end of the day, though, Joker still brings more than enough of its own artistic flair and clear passion from all involved in order to justify itself to me. As for how this is supposed to fit into DC's film universe, well, it doesn't. Or at least I hope they don't try to force it to fit at some point in the future. This version of the Joker is not, in my opinion, really all that compatible with your typical sort of Batman story. He's not a super genius and he's not holding the city hostage. A few years ago over at the MCU, Joaquin Phoenix reportedly turned down the role of Doctor Strange specifically because he didn't want to sign a multi-film contract, so hopefully that's an indication that this will be a one and done. I really don't ever need to think about this character occupying the same universe as Shazam. It'd be sort of like announcing that Bram Stoker's Dracula is now in canon with the Monster Squad. But anyway, look, if you don't think this movie is going to be for you, you're probably right and you probably shouldn't see it. If you think that it's going to run too counter to your sensibilities or what have you, then that's perfectly valid and I'm not going to try and change your mind. That's just your opinion. But in my opinion, I really don't see why this film should have been any more controversial than Breaking Bad. And if anything I've said in this review sounds even remotely interesting to you, I would highly recommend checking out Joker. It's a breath of fresh air for comic book films, easily the best DC movie since The Dark Knight, and I can't wait to see it again. And if you like this video, you'd be helping me out a lot if you could hit that like button, subscribe for more like it in the future, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of my latest stuff. Leave a comment down below letting me know any of your thoughts on Joker, and check out some of the other great stuff I've got up on my channel. As always, thanks so much to all of you guys for watching, and take care. When I first heard that Warner Brothers was planning to make a Joko